Hi everybody, my name is Fisk Dolly and I read Sorta Okay Online for you. And what are we reading? Well, the picture of Dorian Gray, and we're almost to the end. So from chapter 14 to about chapter 16, that's going to be the summaries for this this segment. Oh my gosh, so much has happened. So where we last left off, Dorian Gray had taken the life of his best friend Basil Hallward, who loved him and had a lot of romantic feelings that he decided to put aside for the sake of their friendship. So up in his childhood study is the body of Basil Hallward, stiff with rigor mortis, and he needs to figure out how to get rid of this body. And Dorian slept well through the night. It's just like any other morning. He kind of is treating it like, oh, it was just a bad dream. It was just like some messy little thing I had to do. So he sends his butler to go and fetch a man named Alan Campbell. Now, Alan Campbell used to be best friends with Dorian. And here's the thing. As Basil had mentioned before, he was literally stabbed in the back multiple times. Everyone that seems to come across Dorian or meet his acquaintance or get involved with him, they end up either having their reputation ruined or something strange occurs where that friendship falls out. So this guy, Alan, they're not really good friends, but initially they bonded over their love of music and the sciences. Alan Campbell is a chemist and he tends to work with cadavers, and a lot of his work is helpful to the medical community in 1890s London. Okay, these are Victorian Gothic people. They're rich, aristocratic. Dorian, he's forever beautiful, forever Gothic, with a spooky portrait somewhere in his mansion, never aging. And, at least the picture's getting ugly. It's getting real ugly. And to think that it must look even worse than it already did now that he has committed the sin of murder. Moida, as I've been saying it on live. That way I don't trip up the algorithm. I just want everybody to know I read Sorta Okay on Live. This is the stuff from the book. It is for educational purposes only. Please chill the freaking out, okay? There will be talks of demons. There will be talks of Lucifer, the star, the northern star falling from the sky, and the demons and the spookies and the ghost and grime. So everybody please chill out. It is a fictional tale. And yeah, it seems as though like Dorian at this time, it's not that he's necessarily remorseful when the sudden realization that there's a dead body up in his study with his demonic portrait in the same room. It's not that that's like what's freaking him out. It's not that he feels bad that he took Basil's life. It's just that it's ugly. And that's like really messy and not cool. Like he just doesn't want a bad reputation. I mean, like seriously, like that is so like not pretty. Like he would never want anything that's not pretty around him. The layers of subtext in this story, it's just kind of reminds me of how I feel about like social media today. Like we see this presentation of a lovely, beautiful person online because people are lovely and beautiful online. It's a curated image that we, give to our audience as social media creators, and so on and so forth. And I find it so interesting because Dorian is a physical representation of this beautiful image, this pinnacle of health and beauty, and yet he has this terrible, evil, demonic portrait that actually represents his true form, and it's hidden away from the world, what the world would never see. It's a very fantastic metaphor. Another metaphor here is that this is like some weird twisted tale of like narcissist, right? And one of the things about the story or the mythology of Narcissus and Echo was that a old lady prophesized that should Narcissus ever come to know himself, it would be his doom. It seems here, Dorian, his reflection, which is instead of a pool of water, is actually this painted portrait from the late Basil Hallward, who's definitely dead. It seems as though this is actually like him, like who he really is. And it's his humanity. It's ugly, it's imperfect, it's vile and grotesque and full of, sin. So when Alan Campbell comes along, he just is like trying to placate to Alan. He's like, oh, there's a dead body up in my schoolroom, and I need you to get rid of it. Obviously, Alan was like, you told me this was a matter of life or death. I didn't think you were going to mess with me. He obviously thinks Dorian, it's like one of his weird messed up games. Because again, everyone that seems to come across Dorian, they tend to suffer. Only to find out that Dorian was serious. There really is a dead body upstairs in his mansion, or in one of the many wings of his mansion. I don't know. Point is, dead body in mansion with demonic painting. And Alan is like, well, how did that get there? And he's like, oh, it was, he did it to himself, the guy did it to himself. And it's like, come on, I don't think anyone can stab themselves in the back multiple times until they died. Let's be real. Dorian the whole time is trying to appeal to Alan in this way where he's like, oh my God, like it'll be like an easy peasy thing for you. You work with dead bodies all the time in the medical field. What difference is this? Just treat it like one of your little experiments, It's like, do it for me, for old time's sake, for friendship. It's like, dude, you're literally asking me to get rid of a body for you, and you're not even a good friend to me. Like, what? I want nothing to do with you, right? So Alan is like, no. And this is where I find it so fascinating, because like psychology then wasn't what it is today. And obviously like Oscar Wilde is like maybe a little bit of a true crime girly, because he really does depict the psyche of a person like Dorian, sorry, I was going to call him Damien. Dorian, who has these dark triad qualities, okay? He has the narcissism, he has the antisocial stuff, and he has the sadism. He took joy in ending Basil's life, almost like it satisfied him in a little bit of a way. I mean, he honestly liked striking terror in the heart of poor Basil, who only loved and empathized with Dorian, which his narcissism is what caused him to resent Basil for the empathy that was shown towards him. So that's why he did the good old backstabbing. Don't do that to your friends. That's not what a friendly person does. But obviously Alan is like just dumbstruck, but he's like, look, I'm not going to tell on you, but I want nothing to do with this. And I mean, when all of that placating to Alan's sentiments does not work, he slides over a piece of paper and he's like, will you do it now? And in my mind, I'm like, if you had the material to blackmail this man into getting rid of this body for you, why did you go through all the trouble of seeing if he would just do it for you as a favor? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. But once the blackmail works, Alan Campbell gets to work, and it takes him about 8 hours and a lot of nitric acid, and he gets rid of the body. And that concludes chapter 14, you guys. Like, this is, I don't even know if I'll edit this video. Like, this is basically it. So I'll see you for the next part, which is chapter 15. And yeah, we're progressing towards the end. Ooh.